Hey BTS bros and buddies, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be talking about something that has drastically changed in 2026, and that is how remote companies actually hire in 2026, or how remote work hiring actually works in 2026. And if one of your goals is to land yourself a remote opportunity in 2026, then this is the place where you need to be, because I want to break down how the rules have actually changed and also kind of get you into the psyche of the panel members, and that is going to help you how you show up in an interview setting, or even how you show up before the interview setting. So how exactly communicate your value proposition to a company before they actually get to meet you. So stick around, because we're going to break this down step by step together. My name is Lorraine, and I position candidates for remote work. Aside from that, I have been in the HR profession for over 11 years, having worked both globally and locally. So let's get started. And I do want us to get started with the big picture. A lot of people do get confused when remote work actually started. And some might actually argue that it started in 2020. Granted, that is when it gained its popularity. However, we see one of the oldest remote companies, being Canonical, having started to work remotely in 2014. And this is because tools such as Slack started coming into play into the market in 2010. Now, granted, at that time, the hiring process was different because the people who were working remotely were few and in between. It wasn't such an acceptable phenomenon as it is right now. More tools have come into play, which means that the hiring process has now been mainstreamed and streamlined, right? They've got policies in place, they've got procedures in place, they've got ATSs in place, or that help us be able to hire global companies and also help us be able to work as distributed team members globally. Which then leads me to my very first point as to what has changed. The pool, the talent pool in itself has changed. The competition is fierce. And as a matter of fact, it is said that come 2030, 30% of the global workforce will be working remotely. So that means the competition is global, it is fierce, it is highly competitive, and even now more than ever, how you position your skills and capabilities then become a key factor in you being able to land yourself a remote opportunity. So point number one is that the competition is global. You're no longer competing with a girl next door or your boy next door. You're competing with people in America. You're competing with people in the Latin time zone. You're competing with folks in the APAC time zone. So how you present yourself and how you communicate your value proposition does matter. And because we as recruiters and remote companies have got options at the moment, it's only fair and it's only logical that we start introducing systems and softwares such as ATS. And for those of us who don't know what an ATS is, it is basically an applicant tracking system that remote companies use when they're managing the hiring process. The reasons why they're doing that, like I've said before, the competition is global. We've got more eyeballs looking at remote work, and because more people now have a different outlook on work and the freedom that comes with remote work and being able to earn in foreign currency and having flexible working hours and so on and so forth, and just the benefits, the immense benefits that come with working remotely, we've got more eyeballs on there. So it means that whenever a company has posted that one role that they're hiring for, they receive applications in the hundreds, if not thousands. So what happens is that they do need to manage their hiring process in a faster way, in a more efficient way, and in a way that is fair to each and every person. Because what you'll find is that most of these remote companies have implemented DEI practices, either blind hiring practices, or they have quotas that they have to meet when they're hiring candidates. So given that background, I hope that explains to you why most remote companies actually do use ATSs as part of their application process. And then just to piggyback on our competition being global, and us having choices in terms of the candidates that come in, our expectation is even higher. Most of the remote companies, what they do pride themselves with, and part of their value proposition to their customers is going to be, we're going to provide you access, to top 1 or top 10% global talent. That is the value proposition to their clients. So of course, the interviewing process and the hiring process is difficult. By design, it is intentional that you have to go through loops and hoops in order for you to actually land that remote opportunity, because that is part of the value proposition to their customers. And so some of the qualities that they're usually looking out for in candidates is someone who is self-motivated, an independent thinker, someone who is highly organized, and a really good communicator. That doesn't mean that you have to go and get an accent, but how you communicate needs to be precise, needs to be concise, it needs to be very clear, such that the other person on the other end of the line can actually hear you, or at the end of the other meeting can be able to hear you. Yeah. And if you do not demonstrate exceptional level in terms of these qualities, you're definitely going to get filtered out. If you've learned one thing from this video, consider giving us a like. That is how you do give me feedback, and I do appreciate a good feedback. So thank you. The next thing that I do want us to talk about is the hiring funnel. And the reason as to why this is important is because this is where they show you, or this is where they communicate their expectations of you as a potential candidate. And it's really important that you're able to deliver as they expect. So let's get started with what happens after you've seen that job advert. Naturally, if the role attracts you, you're going to send in that application. And the very first place it's going to go to, like we said, drum rolls please, is what? The ATS system. Now, we've talked elaborately about the ATS. And one thing that I forgot to mention is that the ATS is keyword heavy. And that is the reason as to why I'm always yapping and insistent on why your CV needs to be ATS friendly if you need to land yourself a remote opportunity. It is the first gatekeeper. It is the first hurdle that your CV is going to face before it even lands a recruiter's desk. It first goes through the system, the ATS system. So the very first thing that you need to do is make sure that your CV is ATS friendly. And if you do need help with that, do send us a DM and we'll gladly help you with it. The second stage that your application is going to go through is the initial screening. So this is where, after it's gone through the ATS system, it's going to land at a recruiter's desk and they're going to check you out. Now, your CV needs to be simple, it needs to be clear. On average, a recruiter spends 6 to 8 seconds just skimming through a CV before they decide whether they want to go with you or not. I know it is brutal, but like I said, we don't really have time. And what we go for is not people that we think have got potential, but people that demonstrate that they do have potential. So what you want to do is make sure that your CV, and on top of it being ATS friendly, is aligned to the job advert. At this stage, what I'm looking at is relevant experience, how well you're communicating your value proposition, and if you have worked remotely before or you do understand what it takes for someone to be able to work remotely. After the initial screening, we are likely going to move into an interview, and this is going to be a video interview. And I think this is where most people kind of miss the mark a little bit, because think of it this way: if you are attending an on-site interview, there's a way in which you prep, there's a way in which you present yourself in an interview setting. We have come across candidates who have managed to get through the interview stage, but then how they show up in the video interview is appalling. It's appalling. It's appalling, to say the least. Yeah, you cannot show up in an interview with a tank top, in a t-shirt, and then expect a recruiter to take you seriously. So even how you present yourself in these video interviews is really key and important. Now, as a recruiter, what I'm looking at is, one, your communication skills, your culture fit, once again, remote work experience, and lastly, your understanding of the role. And this is really key, once again, because with the rise of AI, we've got candidates coming up with amazing CVs and optimized LinkedIn profiles, but when it comes down to business, they're not able to demonstrate what it is that they bring to the table. And so that is why some companies will go ahead and even ask you for an introductory video or audio before you get into the video assessment stage. So it's really important that you know who you are comes out really clearly in the interview stage, and that you're able to demonstrate your expertise and your knowledge at this stage. The fourth stage of the hiring process is going to be you meeting with the hiring manager. And with the hiring manager, they're basically testing your technical expertise. So at this stage, I don't expect you to be vague in your answers. I need you to get deep down in the thick and thin of things. I need you to show them that you're the person to get the job done. You understand why you do certain things. This is where you can drop modalities, you can drop principles, you can drop keywords, you can use jargons, because at this stage what they're looking at is technical expertise. No need to be vague over here. You need to show how you problem solve, how you solved problems, and how you took a challenge and turned it into a success. This is where you brag a little bit about your accomplishments during the hiring manager stage. After that, chances are you're going to get sent a case study. So this is the skills assessment stage. Some companies bring it before meeting the hiring manager. Other companies have it after meeting the hiring manager. So regardless, it's going to be there. And what they're looking at is, one, your strategy and how well you're able to do research, how well you're able to communicate your suggestions or inferences, and how you're able to kind of implement the strategies that you're coming to bring on board. So if you lack presentation skills, or if your presentation skills are not impeccable, now is the time to start honing that skill, honing that presentation capability as a skill. After the skill assessment, what you're going to do is then meet with the team members. And with the team members, it is more like a vibe check. What they're looking at is your work style, your personality, how you're able to gel with the team or fit with the team, as well as your collaboration style. Because the last thing anyone wants is to bring a person who is not going to build or contribute to the team cohesion that already exists. That is why team members' opinion at this stage is also going to be crucial. If you don't ace that, you're not going to go past this. And so what you want to do is that bring your authentic self and also be a little bit vibey, kind of match their vibe, yeah? If you're being interviewed with Americans, they're loud. If you're being interviewed by Latin candidates, they're also loud. So you also want to kind of match their energy and be open-minded to meeting these candidates and also, once again, matching their energy. What we've seen is that the candidate profile that tends to thrive in a remote work setting is someone who is extroverted presenting. And so if you are an introvert, at this stage, you kind of want to just come out of your bubble or come out of your shell just a little bit so that, you show them that you might be an introvert, but you're willing to try new things. You're willing to be a great team player. And that is all that matters, right? But essentially, be your authentic self. Be a little bit playful, talk about the weather, the cats, the dogs, what's happening in the economy, just engage. And yeah, this is one of them. You meeting the team members can be a really good indication of the company culture and also of the team culture that you're coming to get in that company. After meeting the team members, chances are you are definitely going to meet the VP or a director. And at this stage, what they're looking at is how do you then play into the bigger picture? How exactly are you coming to contribute to the company's bottom line? So here you do need to talk about strategy, you do need to talk about money and what exactly it is that you're bringing to the table. Then the last thing that is going to happen in the hiring process is the offer stage. At this stage, you're meeting once again with me, a recruiter, and over here we are now doing negotiation. And if you don't know what to ask for, how much to ask for, what are the benefits to ask for, once again, you do need to attend our masterclass. But you can also use Glassdoor as a tool to kind of gauge the global market rate of the going global market rate for that role. Or better yet, send us a DM and we will gladly help you, because the last thing you want to do is underquoting or even underselling your skills and capabilities, because that can sometimes be seen as a red flag. And also, I do not want you missing out on the benefits that you could have gotten by landing yourself a remote opportunity. Consider subscribing and also hitting that notification bell so that whenever we post such videos, you do get notified. So in a nutshell, how do you get to land yourself a remote opportunity? One is that you definitely need to work on your positioning. And like we've talked about, positioning looks like this way. Having your CV be ATS friendly, you also need to optimize your LinkedIn profile. You definitely need to have an amazing, a bomb-ass introductory video. That is part of positioning. And if you're a techie, you also do need to have a portfolio as part of the things that you're going to need. I call them your tools of trade in order for you to start sending out applications. The second thing that I do need you to work on is work on your storytelling. So why do you want this job? Why do you want to work for this company specifically? And why are you the best fit for this role? What exactly do you bring to the table? When you're asked why this company, let not your answer be blank, I don't know, like one client of mine told me this week. Make sure that you've done research on the company and that you understand what are some of the problems that they're facing and how you can plug in. The third thing that you definitely want to do is to demonstrate your remote work readiness or a remote experience. Like I said before, what you definitely need to demonstrate is your knowledge on the remote tools and softwares, your capability of working remotely, and your understanding of what it takes in order for you to be able to work and thrive remotely. Once you're able to do that, then you're definitely good to go. The fourth thing that you want to do is to be responsive. The last thing, once again, that you want happening is that you missing out on an interview or you missing out on a case study simply because you were not responsive. Then the other thing that you also need to take into consideration is time zones. You do not want to miss out on an interview because of different time zones. Say, for example, a recruiter sets up a meeting for 5 p.m. UTC, and in your mind, if you're in Kenya or if you're in Africa, you think of it in terms of 5 p.m. GMT or even East African time, therefore missing out on that opportunity. So definitely be responsive and also do take care or do have a good understanding of the time zones. That even includes how you work your calendar, how you work your Google Calendar. More tips on that on our Remote Talk Masterclass. Then lastly, you need to ask good questions, do research on the company, understand the market that they're operating in, do competitor analysis, understand the problems that they're currently facing, and how do you plug in into these problems? Yeah, what is your value proposition? Then ask a holistic question based off of the information that you've gotten. When you do this, you actually present yourself as an eager candidate, as someone who is interested in the company. And at the end of the day, we as recruiters or even founders, we are very selfish. I need to know that you are equally invested in this company, the success of this company, as any other person. So the quickest way of doing that is doing research and showing interest in the company that you are interviewing for. This demonstrates engagement as well as professionalism. Do let me know in the comment section what are some of the learnings that you've gotten from this video. And if you do have any questions regarding remote work, do let me know in the comment section and we'll definitely get to you. And I guess I will see you on the next one. All the very best. Bye.